Welcome to PLUSone, the series where each month I look at the free games on PlayStation Plus and tell you if they're worth the download. After all, the games may be free, but your time is valuable. Today, I'm taking a look at God of War 3 Remastered, the fittingly titled 2015 PS4 remaster of 2010's PS3 hit. I'm sure a good number of you have recently played 2018's God of War game, and I'm sure a smaller number have only played that game, so the early series might be new to you. Does God of War 3 hold up today, nearly a decade after its original PS3 release? Did it warrant a remaster at all? And most importantly, is it worth 9 hours of your time and 40 gigs of your precious hard drive space? Let's find out. Like with the rest of the series, God of War 3 puts you in the shoes of Kratos, a Spartan warrior and one of the sons of Zeus. For the past handful of games before this one, Kratos has been on a quest for vengeance after Ares, the god of war, tricked him into murdering his own family. Naturally, Kratos takes this in stride, violently murdering Ares and becoming the new god of war. After this, he pushes even further, starting a full-scale war against Zeus and Mount Olympus, and that is where God of War 3 begins. For 9 hours, you'll be impaling, punching, beheading, disemboweling, and otherwise maiming anybody and anything in Kratos' way. Sony seems to think that you don't necessarily need the first two games to get through God of War 3, hence why only 3 was remastered, and I guess they're sort of right? I would have much rather had all 3 games on the PS4 and not just PS Now, but it doesn't really matter. There's a cutscene at the start of the game that fills in almost all of the gaps, and odds are if you're playing the old God of War games, you're playing them for their hack and slash gameplay with everything else coming second. I should mention briefly that the God of War that you're used to if you've only played the new game is not the God of War of old. That game went for a more personal touch mechanically, scaling the combat down and zooming in the camera angle significantly, while keeping Kratos as strong as ever. In the older God of War games, the speed is ramped up, the camera is panned out, and you've got an onslaught of enemies thrown at you that usually fills the screen. There is no boy to protect here, the only thing that Kratos cares about is vengeance, and making that vengeance as violent as possible. You've got Kratos' trademark chain blades, the massive blade of Olympus, and several new weapons that you'll find throughout your adventure by killing certain bosses. And you can chain insane strings of murderous glory together with the simple presses of the square, triangle, and circle buttons. Each weapon also has a special attack that can be performed with R2, using a bit of Kratos' magic meter, and all of the weapons can be upgraded by spending the experience you earn via murder. If you've ever played a 3D hack and slash game before, you know what you're getting into, and God of War 3 gets the job done. It's nothing revolutionary by any stretch, but these games don't really aim for revolution to begin with, just death. In between all of that violence, you're treated to smaller sections of simple platforming and the occasional puzzle section. These aren't particularly difficult, they more or less just act as a means to break up the combat so it doesn't get too stale, and they mostly accomplish that. I will say that I do feel the combat does get stale as you near the end of any particular level, because the enemy variety is mostly limited to smaller guys, bigger guys, and then different combinations of smaller and bigger guys until you get to the boss, which often also throws smaller and bigger guys at you. You certainly feel powerful as you find yourself taking out more and more difficult combinations of enemies that may have individually given you trouble just half an hour prior. However, the larger enemies usually get finished off with a brutal kill via QuickTime event. And while the button inputs may change between these, when I'm killing a Minotaur, I'm killing every single one in the exact same way. Some different kill animations would have been nice considering the game usually limits itself to one specific type of large enemy per section. If not for that one small issue though, the game's progression is fine. Genuinely, that's just about it for the game itself. I could describe the different weapons to you, but that doesn't change the core gameplay focusing on just these few things. I will say that the set pieces and the scale of this adventure are gargantuan, even in a genre that focuses on being absolutely insane in scope. When the first battle has you fighting Poseidon's giant water horses while climbing the body of a 1,000-foot tall titan that itself is climbing a mountain, and it only gets bigger from there, you know you're in for a crazy time. The only other thing I'd like to note is that for some reason the cutscenes feel off in the remaster. Something about the motion is just janky here. I think it's the frame rate, but I can't put my finger on it exactly. It doesn't affect anything, but hey, it's worth mentioning. Unless you're not a fan of excessive violence, there's very little reason not to +1 God of War 3 Remastered to your collection. You probably wouldn't be able to tell from this video, but I'm not a fan of the original God of War games at all for a few reasons, and I still find this to be a perfectly competent game. You can certainly do better in the hack and slash genre, but on PS4 and for free at that, there's little reason to say no. If you've ever wondered what Kratos' adventures were like before he moved to Midgard, this is about as good a way as ever to see. I'd even argue that seeing Kratos at his most one-dimensional might help you appreciate even more just how much of a character he got in 2018's game. For you trophy hunters out there, you're looking at likely 2 playthroughs or more to get that platinum trophy, and if you're watching this after it comes off of PS Plus, the remaster goes for $20. If you still have a PS3 laying around, you can find nearly the entire series in the God of War Saga release for about $20 nowadays, so you'd get more bang for your buck there. Which God of War game is your favorite? Let me know down in the comments below, and while you're down there, don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more.